someone who was in the room when it happened today is Congressman Mike Levin. He's a Democrat from California, so this is a border state, live from the North Lawn of the White House, and a Democrat who's been active on border issues. So let me pick up right where the senator left off. That's been the Republican criticism of the president's action today. Too little, too late, you say?
I say we could have done much more, much sooner if it weren't for Donald Trump killing the bipartisan border security deal a number of months ago. It's extraordinarily unfortunate that that happened, but I applaud the president for taking this executive action. You know, he really didn't have much choice here given congressional inaction. And the sad thing is that since the bipartisan border security deal was killed by Donald Trump and by Mike Johnson, the discussions have been difficult. You know, I try to have conversations with my friends across the aisle on this issue because we've got to come together. Ultimately, this is a nonpartisan issue of national security. And I do think that the administration's actions today will lead to a more orderly and safe process. That's exactly what we need.
Not to get too in the weeds on how the sausage is made, so to speak, on all of this, but the White House was adamant with us today, making sure we called this an executive action rather than an executive order, and there are differences between the two. Do you know why? Is this they trying to avoid maybe the legal challenges that hit the Trump executive order years ago? You know, that was shot down in the courts. Also, might this not be as tough as if it were an executive order, which might have more legally binding elements to it?
Well, in our brief earlier today with White House officials, we did hear that there is a good amount of confidence that this will pass muster with the legal process. But, you know, ultimately it would be stronger if it were Congress taking action. And at the end of the day, that's what we need. And by the way, we need a lot more than what's in this bill or in this executive action today. We need comprehensive immigration reform. We need better paths to citizenship for those who have been here for many years, who are doing all the right things, paying taxes, and are a part of our country, part of our society, contributing positively to our economy. And that's why we need to get back to the negotiating table. It's really a shame that we're at this impasse right now because you've got people playing politics, and I think people deserve more.
But couldn't it have been tougher, you mentioned, if Congress acted, couldn't it have been tougher if it was an executive order rather than action, or no? And again, is that maybe that has something to do with the courts? I'm not sure if that was in your brief today.
Well, I'll leave it to legal experts, but I will tell you that DOJ today did assure us that they had thought very carefully about the next steps with legal challenges, and they are confident that this executive action will withstand those legal challenges.
A couple other quick things, Congressman. One of the things, and we're going to talk about this more later in the show, our border correspondent has been reporting on this for some time, that, you know, for what this does do, and giving the president the authority to shut down the border, there's also a lot here that is not in the authority under this action. For example, gotaways, which you're familiar with, have gotten, you know, a lot of attention here, where people come into the country illegally, and then, you know, you never see them again. They're not able to be apprehended. So this doesn't do anything to solve that problem, which I'm sure you would acknowledge is a large problem, right? What do we need to do there?
Well, this is not comprehensive immigration reform.
Right.
That really needs to be Congress taking the initiative. And there are a lot of things that that were not addressed by today's executive action. You mentioned an important one. Another one is our Border Patrol. It's far too difficult for our Border Patrol to hire the people they need. We've provided congressional authorization and appropriation, but we need policy changes around hiring of our Border Patrol and retention of our Border Patrol. We need a huge number of immigration judges. You know, even if we double the number of immigration judges from roughly the 700 that we have today, we wouldn't get through the 3.3 million people in our immigration backlog to 2032. That requires congressional action. Things like the Dream and Promise Act and the Farm Workforce Modernization Act that would do such a great deal of good. The president can't do those things unilaterally either. So I hope that people will see this for what it is, which is the president's limited, but he's doing everything that he can with the executive authority that he's got to try to address the crisis that we see. And I'm very confident that it will help, but that we've got to do more in Congress. People are demanding it, and we've got to work across the aisle to get it done on a nonpartisan basis.
Let me wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.